This is iCastNews.com, live and direct from United Nations headquarters in New York City, USA, North America. And this is the commemoration. On Wednesday, the 31st of January, 2018, the United Nations is going to have a commemoration based on General Assembly Resolution 60/7 from 2006, where they pay attention and draw the world's attention to the Holocaust and measures as an education out of the Holocaust lesson to prevent genocide. It's especially poignant this year because every single year we are losing the eyewitnesses, the people who experienced, saw, and can explain to children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren the lessons of the Holocaust. We're especially honored today to have a young man here, young, 96 years old, but young in spirit, Michael Taylor, who is himself a Holocaust survivor and has a wonderful story to tell. Michael, you were born where?
I was born in Warsaw, Poland, capital. And I was 2 years old. We left to Belgium, Brussels, because the anti-Semitic were very great.
Poland was one of the world hotspots for
Yes.
anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And you went by train to Belgium?
By train, yes.
You're lucky you didn't have to walk.
No.
And from Belgium, did you live? How long did you live in Belgium?
Until the war, 1940.
1940, and from there you went to France?
When the German attacked Belgium, we moved to France. We took a train and we went to France.
And you
Southern France.
Southern France, so
Yes.
the Vichy part of France?
Vichy, yes.
Vichy was the
the
part
southern
of
end.
France that wasn't directly
No.
controlled by the Nazis, but there was a sympathetic regime under Pétain in charge down there. And where did you live? What village did you live in?
I live in southern France, Vichy.
You lived in southern France until what happened?
I joined the resistance, Jewish resistance.
Jewish resistance.
Jewish
So
resistance.
that wasn't the communist resistance.
No, this is
a
a
special
FFI.
FFI, yeah. And what kind of things did you specialize in? What did you do to resist the Vichy French and the Nazis?
Okay, we have a liaison with American an American plane, military plane. And we have connection, and they drop munition 4 times.
So bombs and explosive?
The American Liberator plane.
A Liberator bomber.
Bombers, yeah. 4 times. And we also got 8 American soldiers.
You helped pilots and whatnots who had landed behind enemy lines.
But behind the line, yeah. And we fought against.
And were you lucky enough to kill some Germans yourself?
Yes, sure. Yes. And it's the D-time, the D-Day.
Yeah.
We organized to attack the German the train.
Here.
Yes.
So when the Americans were landing on the beaches, you were attacking behind?
Behind, yes.
Oh.
And we explored the train, the German train, the German train, and we fought a whole night.
And how old were you at this time?
About 22.
22. So your young manhood was fighting in the Jewish underground against Germans.
Yes. They have 4 anti-Aryan cannons,
right,
to shoot down American airplanes, and we stopped that.
You stopped that.
Yeah.
And what was your experience with concentration camps?
Concentration camp was awful. We were, the whole family, with my 4 sisters, for 2 years, Camp Rivesaltes in France, by the Pyrenees. And the food was terrible. So they took, there was a gypsy there, and also Spanish. They took the gypsy first to Auschwitz. Then the next week they took the Spanish Republic to Auschwitz. And then we were our turn. And I knew that they're going in a death camp. So I ran away.
How did you run away? How did you?
I jumped. I ran away, and I didn't get to the train.
And how about your sisters and your
The old girl? No, the 3 sisters at that time were safe in the cloister. In the Catholics.
The Catholics hid them.
Yeah, with a different name. For 5 years.
Now, tell me, you're an optimistic kind of guy, but you must have seen some terrible behavior when you were in the concentration camp.
Right.
What did it teach you about human nature?
I saved 50 people out of the concentration camps.
50 people?
50, yeah.
How did you do that?
I did smuggle out. They have a committee. Anybody wants to go out, so they have the permission. Well, I was the one who take the people out.
Wow! How did you get such a responsible position?
Well, it took a chance. I was taking 25 people I saved, and then I was taken. They took me in the isolated prison for 10 days. Then, when I was liberated, I did again another 25 people liberated, until it came that I ran away.
Run away. Good thing to have good young legs, isn't it? To get away from Nazis and French collaborators.
Because I knew the story. The people didn't, at that time, they didn't visualize.
Did you have friends or relatives from when you were living in Warsaw who perished in the concentration camps?
Yes, about 100 families, over 100 families were taken away. They have no one left over. One survived, a young kid. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And France let you come in from Belgium, right?
Yes.
So now we have problems with migrants trying to escape from Syria and Afghanistan, and we hear that some countries, surprisingly Germany,
Yes.
took 1 million migrants.
Yeah.
France is not taking so many.
No.
America wants to close the door
Door.
on these refugees. What do you say as a humanist, as somebody who experienced that? What do we need to understand about the plight of people who are escaping persecution, and what should we do about it?
They want to get out of the situation we're taking to Auschwitz. So it was impossible. For 5 years I fought, and I saved another 50 people.
And after the war, where did you go?
After the war, I took my I got 4 certificate for my 3 sisters, and I to Palestine in Toulon.
So this was still under the British mandate. So you went from southern France on a boat to Israel. Or to Palestine. Palestine territory.
And I saw, when I came by the boat, I saw over 50, 60 immigrants couldn't get their papers. So I went back and forth to distribute it for certificate. So the guardian was Israeli, the police, and it said in Yiddish to me, get
what did he say in Yiddish? I speak Yiddish.
Mention wie viel du kennst.
Take as many as you can.
Yeah, yes. And I took out about over 50 people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is just amazing.
And when we came, to Palestine, they were all safe. They didn't check anything, and they all were free.
And when you settled in Palestine, that became Israel after the UN approved the partition, were you in the army?
Yes, I was in the Givati. I wanted the best group soldiers, and we fought the war against 7 Arab nations, and we won the war, and we declared Jewish state. That was 1948.
1948. And the UN here, the nations voting in favor of was Soviet Union, the United States, France, Great Britain.
Yeah, voted for a Jewish state.
For a Jewish state. You fought in the army.
Yes.
You came from Warsaw in Poland, where in this anti-Semitic state they used to say Jews can't fight.
Right.
What did it feel like to be able to say they're wrong and to stand up fight for yourself?
Well, we organized a Jewish resistance. Mark Hagno. Yeah, is the name. And we fought against Germans.
And did that make you feel as a stronger?
Yes, not to give in.
Not to give in.
Yeah.
So all those years that in Poland and the Russian Empire there were pogroms.
Yes.
You wouldn't put up with that anymore.
No.
You stood up for yourself. You fought.
I fought, yeah.
And what do you think the lesson is for people about that, about standing up for themselves?
We were very strong. We were a religious group, and we had Friday, Saturday, singing this and that. But it was a law that 3 generations, when the fight is a Jew, they take it away. So the one who joined us was didn't know he was Jewish,
Right.
but they took away anyway to concentration camp. He escaped and then he joined two wars. He was a big officer in the French army.
Now, you on your way up to our studio saw this exhibit of these large photographs that of this last Swiss Holocaust survivors, victims, and perpetrators. Were you moved by those big pictures downstairs?
Yes, it didn't bother me.
What do you think we need to know about, we understand that sometimes it wasn't the Germans, it was the local people, the Poles or the Ukrainians
Right.
or the Lithuanians or the Latvians, neighbors,
Yes.
people's neighbors. What does it say about humankind? And what did you think when you saw those pictures of the perpetrators right next to the victims?
Right. We, as religion, we fought as a Jew group. This is obtained to show to the world that Jews can fight too.
And that was important because people used to think all they could do is make money and
Right.
sow and pray.
Yes.
And a lot of people did follow their rabbis without fighting right into the concentration camp.
Yes.
By
the way, they were singing too.
Singing
going,
on the way.
going to the oven.
Going to the oven, singing behind their rabbi.
Yeah.
Now, it's not a secret that you're not a young man, right? 96 years old.
Right.
Geh gesundheit, that you're going to be around for a long time.
Thank
But one
you.
of these days, you're not going to be with us.
No.
And other Holocaust survivors are fading from the scene. What do you think the most important thing that people, especially in America, need to know, the lesson they need to pull out of what you saw and what you experienced?
Well, I make speeches all over, and I became a hero. And a lot of people went to Israel of my speech, that survival of as a Jew.
But let's say I'm a college student sitting here with you,
Yeah.
who know nothing about the Holocaust.
Yes.
And you've got this one chance to tell me on film what I need to know, what I need to understand about what this show's about humanity. What's the lesson I need to know?
The lesson was they killed 6 million Jews. I was part of it, and then I went to Palestine to make a Jewish state, and I told them, if you want to be a Jew, go to Palestine first, learn the history of the Jewish people.
On the history of the Jewish people. Well, the history of the Jewish people has gotten better since the Second World War because of people like you.
Right.
Because of people who stood up for their rights, for people who would fight, for people who would change stereotypes, and people who were lucky and courageous enough to survive the Holocaust.
Even today, we are the strongest army in the world because the intelligence, from the people from all the world, made Israel very strong.
Very strong. Does it surprise you that the United Nations, which in the beginning helped establish Israel, but for years has been pretty anti-Israeli, does it surprise you that they're having a commemoration of the Holocaust?
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I just go my way, do it the right way.
You know that at the ceremony this week, the German ambassador, Christoph Husgen, is going to get up and speak. Does it bother you that there's a German speaker?
It doesn't bother me.
And what do you tell your kids about Germans?
The real story what they did to the Jews, with such a treatment unbelievable. You wipe out so many people.
You know, my father-in-law was a Jewish officer, served throughout the whole Second World War in Europe. And when he was dying, I asked him if he had any regrets. And you know what he said to me? I only regret I didn't kill enough Germans.
Yeah, me too. And a lot of Nazis survived.
Now, a lot of Nazis survived, and a lot of Nazis
got
were
away.
honored even in America.
Right.
Werner von Braun was honored. Herbert von Karajan, the conductor, was honored.
Right, 700,000 in Germany still goes after Hitler.
Well, in Germany now, the young people, they probably are more like you in their attitudes towards Germans than they are. And there's a huge change in the generations of Germans. It's amazing. You know, right now Berlin is becoming a very Jewish city again.
Yes.
It's just I would have never thought about that.
I wouldn't put my foot in Germany. Even so, there so many Jews there.
So let's end on a positive note. Because you're an optimist, right? You told me you're an optimist. Are you optimistic that America will do the right thing for people who, for different reasons, need to find a land of refuge now in the 21st century?
Yes, it's wonderful. We have the president making a Jewish state in Jerusalem. And this is the greatest honor for the Jews.
You feel good about that?
Yeah, bringing more Jews in Israel.
Excellent. Well, Michael, thank you so very much for sharing your wisdom, your insight, and thank you for your courage.
Oh, thank you.
You're a courageous man and a hero, and you're one of those people that we need to sit down and talk to understand the past, because the past is part of what makes our future.
That's why I am here talking about the past. This was my job.
This is your job. You do a very good job at your job.
I've been in the school. You got a proclamation and 100 proclamation for talking about this story.
Michael Taylor, thank you for so very much for joining us here at ICAST News. Sei gesund.
Ja, gesund.
Sei gesund.
Abi gesund.
Abi gesund. This has been the commemoration for ICASTnews.com, live and direct from United Nations headquarters in New York City, where next week on the 31st of January, the United Nations will be turning its attention to the Holocaust and the lessons it teaches the world about what needs to be done to prevent genocide. For the commemoration, I'm Jonathan Sanders.